This is Jason Clemmons, Doctor of Chiropractic at the Rock Health and Wellness Center, and this is Life with Jason Clemmons, DC. Man, I hate it that we missed you guys on Friday night. We tried so hard to make that happen. There was a combination of things that went on, and we got lost. And I was out of town. We tried to get some things done or try to do some things a little bit different. We had a few technical difficulties. So I'm sorry that we missed you. I'm sorry we missed you on the radio. And I hope you guys had a good weekend. For you guys on social media, I hope you guys had a good weekend. It was good for me. It was good. We got to go to Dallas this weekend, or actually Arlington, to Globe Life Park where the Texas Rangers play, and watch the Shriners Invitational Baseball Tournament. Texas Tech was playing in the baseball tournament, and so we got to go watch those guys play Tennessee, Nebraska. Then they played Oregon on Sunday night. I came back before that game, but my family stayed and watched the game. So, man, if you guys have never been there to Globe Life Park, Globe Life Field, I don't know which one it's called, but right there in Arlington where the Texas Rangers play, it is just an amazing facility. Hotel is right there, restaurants, the whole thing, big screen TVs, great atmosphere. It was just an absolute amazing time that we had. So I'm glad. Thank you, Caitlin, for letting us tag along and get invited, and Will Culpepper at the Double T Varsity Club for inviting us to come to the function. It was super good. Get to go there and have that opportunity. It was really great for me because it gives me an opportunity to see things in a bigger scale. Right? If you want to see something in a big scale, you should go to that ballpark. It's a big scale. It'll widen your eyes a little bit. It'll kind of open your brain up to some new horizons. And it's like sometimes I think we get caught up in our own little world, and we forget, there's a big old world going on out there, and there's a lot of things happening, and there's a lot of things happening in the DFW area. Lots of business, lots of things happening, and it goes right along with our Take Health to Church night tonight. So it's kind of interesting that the sermon and the story of this weekend, they kind of fit together. So it'll be pretty cool to get into that, because tonight is our Take Health to Church night, and we will get into that here shortly. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was good to watch guys compete. It's good to get there and get to see former players and Red Raider Club members and all that sort of thing. Get to spend some time with the family away from the office. Get to expand your brain a little bit, and then get to have some time driving. I drove there by myself and drove home by myself. So whatever that is, 9 or 10 hours in the car between Friday and Sunday morning, having that opportunity. And to just have some quiet time and think about some things and see how we're doing, reflect on some things. So it was a good weekend. It was good to see. It was good to see all the things I got to see, and I was glad that I had that opportunity. I want to thank the girls today. Leslie's still gone, and I want to thank the girls in the office today for running everything smooth. We had a good day at the Rock, and they all just kind of came together and made it all work for us today. So thank you for that. And yesterday was my mom's birthday. And so happy late birthday to you, Mom. You're the best ever. You sacrificed your whole life for us, so we really appreciate that. And you're a good lady. So you can judge her by her fruits. And she's got 3 good kids, so she did a good job. So thank you, and happy birthday to you. So this morning when I get to work, I've got the people that work out with me at 6:00. They've got they have a friend here in town that is dealing with some health issues, and it just tied into some of the things that went on this weekend when I went, because it was really interesting. The Friday show that I was trying to do on the radio was talking about how how do you stay on track with diet and exercise when you travel? That's what I really wanted to talk about on Friday, because we give up those things so quickly. And I've done that so long in my whole life. There's so many times that I would have gotten in the car to go to a weekend like I just did, and I wouldn't have packed my workout clothes with me. And I would have just said, "Oh, it's all right. I'll just get it when I get back." Want to do one of those things. And so now I finally kind of developed enough discipline and enough passion and enough why to that it's just become so much a part of my life that it's just not something that I don't do. So I had my workout equipment with me, my shorts and my shoes, and got up on Saturday, went and worked out, did my 40 minutes of aerobics that I do on Saturdays, and then Leslie and I came back to the hotel, and all three of us, Caitlin and I and Leslie, were all staying together, and we got ready. Caitlin had to go down and work, and then we got ready and we went down looking for breakfast. And it was really interesting because there must have been, I don't know, 500 to 1,000 people that were there in that place. If you have ever been there, the hotel is just like right next to the baseball field. I mean, like you just come out the side door of the hotel and it doesn't take 5 minutes. It probably doesn't even take 3 minutes to walk from the hotel into the front doors of the baseball stadium. And between those two things is this just awesome thing they call Texas Live. There's like 5 restaurants that are all around there. And then there's a big open seating area. It's got an upstairs and then there's just massive TVs on the wall. It's kind of a sports bar type of area place right there. But the Red Raider Club was putting on a function, a watch party for the basketball game, and they catered it. And then all those other restaurants. So Leslie and I went over there. We were wanting something to eat for breakfast, and we walked to all 5 of those restaurants, and I couldn't find one single thing on the menu that we would eat. And I thought it was interesting because there were 1,000 people there eating. I mean, everybody was eating. I don't know how many that holds, but there was a bunch of people there, and everybody was eating something for breakfast, and or brunch or whatever it was. And we couldn't find anything on there. And I thought to myself, how many times have I been in those situations to where I didn't hold on to my being, my person, the person that I am. Like I get into those situations and it's just like, well, I'll just go with the flow and I'll just do what, well, we're just out of town. It's not that big a deal. I mean, just have some French fries and a hamburger. Like who cares? Like just have pizza, like whatever. That's all they got. Then if that's all they got, then we're just going to have to eat what they've got. Right. And that's what I've done my whole entire life. I've just gone along with that theory that, you should just find something to eat. Just don't be selfish. Don't be a pain in the rear. Don't be that person. Just find something to eat. They got lots of food in there. Just find something to eat. Man, those days are gone. Those days are gone for me. And it was really interesting how the trap of the way things go and the way things have always been done keeps us sick. I hear it all the time. I hear it almost every week. Some sort of church gathering that we had. I heard it this morning that they're going to bring the food for the people that were working in the church. And what did they bring? They brought 12 boxes of donuts for the people working in the church. The lady last week said, yeah, we had a church function, spaghetti cook-off or spaghetti dinner that we had at church, so we could feed a bunch of people, and we'll just feed them spaghetti and lasagna and French bread or whatever. And then there was another one this morning. She said something about eating at church, and it's just poisonous food, right? Just poisonous food for all of us that makes us all sick. And we just accept it and we just go along with it as if that's what we should do. Like I should just eat a burger and French fries while I'm at the deal, right? It's like, there's nothing else to eat. And I said, no, I'm not eating. There's nothing in this place that I'm going to eat for breakfast. So Leslie and I walked back over to the hotel. We went into the restaurant in the hotel. We got an omelet. We got an omelet and a couple pieces of bacon, and it was delicious. And it was a beautiful sight. And we sat right there in front of Texas Stadium and where the Cowboys play, and it was just right across the parking lot right there. And we just sat there and had a good conversation and had our breakfast, and it was a healthy breakfast, and I didn't get off track, right? And if I go to church and we're having some sort of function at church and we're having a spaghetti dinner, not eating that. I'm not eating that stuff anymore. And I just think sometimes, I think it's time. I think it's allowable. That's what I want to say to the people watching the show. I think it's allowable for you to say enough is enough with this, what we're doing right here. Because we've had so many of these Monday shows where we take health to church. And when we talk about being led by the Spirit, last week we talked about the greener pastures, and it's like, hey, look, and we talked about it in James, and it's like, if the Lord says do this or the Lord says do that, then do this or do that, right? But when we go to these functions, we have no consideration whatsoever for if we're being led by the Spirit or not, if we're actually being led by our why. And there's so many people and there's so many times that we get ourselves in these situations, and it just makes us sick. It makes us sick to settle for our food. It makes our kids sick. It makes our kids' brain sick. And I'm as guilty as anybody else. I'm not throwing stones at anyone. I'm just pointing this out to us, that it's okay to stop. Because here's what happened. I got back from that experience and I watched all those people just eat and drink. Just drink alcohol like it's going out of style. Just drink it as beers as fast as you can drink beers watching a ball game. Just drink those mixed drinks with Coke in them just as fast as you can do it, and do all that stuff, right? And hey, God bless you. It's America. Do what you want to do. If you want to drink that stuff, that's totally fine. But what ends up happening is I get here this morning, and the very first person that I hear about is a friend of the people who work out at our gym that is over here in the hospital with cirrhosis of the liver. And she's not a drinker. She's got fatty liver disease, and she's got cirrhosis of the liver, and she's got pancreatitis, and she's in the hospital, and she's 57 years old. And I hope that someday I get the opportunity to visit with this lady and to help her, because she needs some serious intervention and some serious help. And the point of it is, it's like, one of the conversation that I got told about was about the argument, when she's talking about, well, I need to do something to clean up my health, but I just can't drink unsweet tea. I just can't. And the doctors here told me I could have one Dr. Pepper, and it's kind of like, okay. Like, that's the same thing they told my father-in-law at Baylor Medical when he had cirrhosis of the liver. Now, I knew him for 20-something years, and he probably didn't have 6 drinks of alcohol in 20-something years. How did he end up with cirrhosis of the liver? Right? We've had this conversation multiple times. We end up with cirrhosis of the liver. We end up with fatty liver disease because of the fructose that we ingest in the sugar that we get, and the juices that we get, and the Cokes that we get, the sodas that we get that have high fructose corn syrup in them. That's where we get those things, from the refined carbohydrates that causes our body the stress. To have those stressful events on our body, and the way that our body processes those stressful events. Your body sees soda as stress. It responds as a stressor. It's a poison. As far as your body is concerned, it creates a stress response. It creates this stress response that I had a great conversation with my friend in Rio, so Dr. Fraley. You guys know him. We've had him on the show. a great conversation with him a while back that I recorded, because I'm doing a talk tomorrow night at the Wise Group here in Lubbock, and we will not be doing a live show tomorrow. I'm going to try to get some stuff recorded tonight, and if not, we'll have a rerun tomorrow night. But I'm going to be speaking to the Wise Group over at the Lake Ridge Chapel Funeral Home. It's a really cool group that they have come in. We're going to be talking about diabetes, and one of the things that happens is when we have an increased amount of cortisol. Cortisol is going to increase our blood sugar, and whenever we're stressed and we have that right brain sympathetic response, then we're going to get an increased amount of cortisol. When we get an increased amount of cortisol, we're going to have an increased amount of blood sugar. Then we're going to have the opportunity to have insulin resistance, because we're going to have an increased amount of insulin because we have an increased amount of blood sugar. So now we're going to run the risk of having insulin resistance. At the same time, we're going to have a problem because aldosterone is also released at the same time that cortisol is released from the adrenal glands. And the aldosterone is going to help us absorb salt, and that's going to help us increase our blood pressure. So we can maintain our sugar level and our blood pressure at night when we're sleeping, and that's really why we have cortisol in the first place. We have that to keep those things regulated. But the stress response that happens in the liver creates inflammation in the liver. And when we get dysregulated, because cortisol and cholesterol are related together, and you will get the cortisol to steal whenever you have low levels of cholesterol and high levels of stress, you'll start to have a stealing mechanism. And that cholesterol is where you end up with your estrogen and your progesterone and your testosterone and your sex hormones. So you will get this whole mechanism that's going on that's going to start to cause problems in all those other areas. And the combination of all that stuff ends up, plus now we're adding this fructose. So we're having a stressful event chemically. We're having a stressful event mentally, emotionally. We're having a stressful event physically, because now we're having to move our body in a way that it's not normally moving. And all of those stressful events add up to us. And then we get an inflammatory process going on. And then we end up with liver disease. And now we say statements like, I can't drink unsweet tea, right? I just can't drink unsweet tea. I can't drink water. It's like, you're really on your deathbed in the hospital, you can't drink unsweet tea. Or really? You can't find something that's not toxic for your body, right? And I think it's what happens is, why do you need that in the first place, right? So many times we talk about brain. So many times we talk about right brain, left brain. And I know it's like you think that's the only thing that I even know how to talk about, which I wouldn't argue that based on the show. But where did the liver disease come from? Where did the fatty liver disease come from? Did the fatty liver disease come from the high fructose corn syrup, or the corn syrup, or the fructose? Okay, yes. But the question is, why did we have the fructose? What was it about that we needed? What was it, all that alcohol that I saw consumed this weekend? Why do we need? We're sitting in one of the most beautiful facilities I've ever seen in my entire life. We're surrounded by like-minded Red Raider people. We all have at least Red Raiders in common. So we have a social group, and we're in the most magnificent indoor baseball facility that I've ever seen ever. What am I missing in my life? Why would I need to go search for dopamine in that situation? Why would I want to do that? What is that? Should that be a sign for me? Should I be able to look at that and say, really? Like, I'm in the most beautiful place that I've ever been from a baseball standpoint. It's magnificent. I'm getting to watch high-powered college baseball teams. I think Tennessee was like ranked number 9 in the country. I mean, we got Tennessee, Nebraska, Oregon Tech, Baylor, and Oklahoma, and like we're in the building that Josh Young plays for. Like, and what would I need? Why would I need to go searching for dopamine? Is that a marker that tells me that my neurological system is working so poorly? Is that really what's happening? Could I take that information and say, man, I cannot sit here and enjoy this whole situation without having a mixed drink. I can't sit here and enjoy this whole situation without eating that cheesecake that's laying over there on the table. I can't sit here and enjoy this situation without having some sort of dopamine situation. Why? Because my right hemisphere and my left hemisphere are not working well enough to give me the opportunity to enjoy my surrounding. I have downregulated myself. I have downregulated my dopamine receptors to the point where just watching the most amazing thing that I've ever seen in a baseball facility is not enough to give me enough dopamine to feel alive. That's why we search for it. It gives me no motivation. I got to go find the dopamine, external source of dopamine. And that's what leads us to cirrhosis of the liver. It's the brain first. And Michael Hall said it. One of my teachers in functional neurology, he said it. He used orthopedics, but I'm telling you that's not just orthopedics. It's not just. He's like, unless you have an injury, your bum knee, your degenerative knee, started in your brain first. Your brain got weak first before your knee got degenerative. Your spine got degenerative after your brain got degenerative, not before. It was your brain first. And now I'm going to say that a lot of these diabetes problems that we have, and a lot of these cirrhosis of the liver problems that we have, and these fatty liver disease problems that we have, and I would probably venture most of the cancers that we have, a lot of the things that we deal with on a daily basis happen because our brain's not firing properly first. And we'll go to the doctor and we will spend, I don't know how much they spent on my father-in-law, but I think it was somewhere in the vicinity of $500,000 to keep a 60-year-old man over maybe a 5-year span of time. They probably spent $500,000 over a 5-year span of time for nothing. They didn't change anything about his physiology in 5 years and $500,000. And when the gods of medicine at Baylor Medicine said to him, "Hey, you can drink. You just don't eat the sugar, but you can have the saccharin and the aspartame and the Splenda. You can have all those things. Don't worry about those things. Just don't eat the sugar." It's like, really? Where do all those things get detoxified in our bodies? In our liver? His liver didn't work. So what was it doing? It was adding a toxic load to the liver. Just like this. You can have a Dr. Pepper. Don't worry about you just don't have 6 Dr. Peppers. Yeah. No, stop it. Like, you're going to kill yourself, right? It's like, stop it with the high fructose corn syrup. Like, stop it with the sugar, and you got to get yourself into a situation. So when we talk about this, I may be one of the only people in your life that's actually talking about this. Like, the things that we talk about on the show, you might think, I don't even know anybody that this dude's crazy. He's the only person that talk about this. And I know some of you that watch the show on a regular basis, y'all are in our circle. And so we talk about a lot of this stuff. But if you're new to the show and you're hearing this, or if you're not in our inner circle, but you've tried to watch the show some, you'll start to notice that we may be the only people that talk about this stuff. And I'm going to be the person that will continue to talk about it, because I don't want to see you in the hospital with fatty liver disease. I don't want you to be there, because they'll tell you that you could drink a Dr. Pepper, and they'll tell you that there's nothing wrong with your liver. Or then the cancer doctor told my father-in-law, don't worry about your liver. It's your cancer that's going to kill you. And what killed him was the cancer drug. That's what killed him. The $8,900 a month cancer drug is what got him. What led him there was the sugar. Why did he search for the sugar? Because his brain wasn't working properly. That is the way it maps out. So life is balanced, right? At the same time that you have the most amazing experience by watching it, you also have one of the suckiest experiences by watching the people and what they do and how they treat themselves. And we don't need it, and it doesn't serve us, and we could be better off if we cleaned it up. And that's what we did. We cleaned it up. So it was great. So I think, let me make sure I'm on the right play here. Yeah, I think we're about to go to a break. So give me 5 seconds. Yeah, okay. We're about to go to a break. When we get back, we're going to take health to church. Sorry that took so long for that first segment, but we're going to talk about greener pastures and the next possession. It's going to be a good second half of the show, so you guys stick around. Yeah, if you have a loved one that's dealing with that type of problem, and you notice that they cannot change the way they're eating, that it's very difficult for them to change the way they're eating, they need help from you. They literally need help from you because their brain's not firing properly and they can't not eat it. Like it gets to the point that they can't not eat it, or they need some encouragement or some help. And I know that because my father-in-law could not quit eating ice cream and sugar. He was on the liver transplant list at Baylor Medical. He was waiting for a liver. He was told by the gods of medicine that there was nothing he could do about it. He could not change his liver disease. He could not fix it. They don't do that. And the only chance he had was to give a liver transplant. And so I've seen it. I've seen it at the highest levels of medicine in Texas. And if it's the highest levels of medicine in Texas, then it's the highest levels of medicine in the world. Because Texas' highest level of medicine is just as good as any place in the world. And those guys they're geniuses, all of them over there that run that show. And so you know that those are sort of things that go on over there. So whenever you end up in that situation, your spouse, your child, somebody, they need some help. They need some help of eating. One of the things that was said was, just eat some blueberries. And she said, I can't eat blueberry muffins. No, I'm not talking about eating blueberry muffins. I'm just talking about eating blueberries. That's it right there. Not the muffins. Sorry, I got the wrong cue right there. I'm trying to get everything right. Hey, if you got any questions or comments, send them to us. You can send us a message, just like you guys know it. You can send us a message. I'll get it either late or during the show. And if you get it during the show, we'll try to make sure that you get it back, or we answer it for you. Okay, everybody, we're back. This is Jason Clemmons, Life with Jason Clemmons, DC. And so let's take health to church tonight. So they started a new series last week about greener pastures. And we talked last week why the next thing is often not a better thing, right? And you want to make sure that you're being led by the Spirit when you move into that next thing. And we compared it because what we try to do with this is we try to take it and apply it in a health standpoint take that lesson that we're learning at church and apply it in a health standpoint. So when you are being called, you feel you're not happy with where you are in your health. You want to move to a new place. You might want to take a minute and meditate on that, think on that, pray on that, whatever you want to do, and see exactly why you're moving yourself into a new position. Why are you doing it? Why are you going to the gym? Why are you doing a new workout routine? Why is it that you like this particular diet that you're following? Why are you doing what you're doing, right? That will lead you from a health and wellness standpoint into a better situation if you're going to move yourself into that situation. Because if you really don't clarify that for yourself, then what ends up happening is you don't like where you are, so you just move without really defining what you're up to. And then when you get to the new place, you don't like that either, right? And that's what the story was at the lesson at church. Well, now this week, it's the next possession. It's the conversation that if I just had the next thing, it's just that next, it's the way we live our lives. We live our lives believing that it's the next iPhone. If I just got the new iPhone, if I just got the new iPad, if I just got a new car, that when I get a new car, then I will be happy, I'll be content, I'll be where I want to be. That's what I need. I just need the next thing. I got to get to the next job. I got to get the next pair of clothes. I got to get whatever that thing is that's next, that's going to push us in that direction, the swimming pool or the TV or whatever the thing is, and then we'll be happy, right? And we do that same thing when it comes to our health. We think next Monday is going to be the day. I'm pretty sure that next Monday will be the day that I get it all right? And it's not this Monday, because this is like we're almost to the end of the month, right? So it's like whatever day this is. This is the 19th, Monday, the 19th of February. Well, next Monday probably actually it's 2 Mondays from now, because next Monday is still February. We might as well start in March. I think that'd be a better idea if we started this whole thing in 2 Mondays from now. That'll be March 4th. So that'd be a good time to start if we, right? We've had that conversation, right? We've had that conversation a lot in our lifetimes. So we would think that would lead us to greener pastures. Some of us have lived long enough to get to greener pastures. So yeah, that was a good statement. Some of us have lived long enough to have those Mondays. Some of us have lived long enough to get that new car or that new house or that new job or that new thing. And really, it wasn't all that it was cracked up to be. Like once we got it, it was like, well, it wasn't quite what we thought it was going to be, right? And that same thing happens in our health. We think, man, if I could just start working out with this group, or if I could just start doing this diet, I think if we could just start doing keto, that would be the next possession. The next thing that we would actually need to do is we could just start keto, and then I think that's going to work. And then how many of us start keto and then we're eating pork rinds or some deal like that, and then we end up, it's not nearly as green as we thought, and it's not nearly as prosperous as we thought. And one of the statements that was made is, no matter if the pastures are greener on the other side of the fence, then so is the maintenance fee to the other side of the fence. Like, I thought that was kind of funny. I was like, yeah, if those pastures are green, it's probably because they're watering them more, and there's a lot more upkeep, and there's a lot more to it, right? So on the church side of it, we're trying to talk about, be careful about, we can't ever get enough. We can't go too far. And he took us to Ecclesiastes, and you guys have heard this whole story forever. And it's talking in Ecclesiastes 5:10 is, whoever loves money never has enough. Whoever loves wealth is never satisfied with his income. This too is meaningless. And we all know, and make sure we understand, and the pastor even said it, that it's not money that's the problem. It's the love of money that's the problem, right? The love of money is the root of all evil. I had this marked in in a different place, but so we want to make sure that that's not what we're talking about. We're not saying that it's bad to be wealthy. We're not saying that's bad to be successful. We're not saying those things, and neither was the church. What he was saying is, whoever loves money never has enough. Whoever loves wealth is never satisfied with his income. This too is meaningless, right? And it's kind of the same way that I see our health, in that it's not when I go to the ballpark on Saturday, and I go there and I can't find anything to eat for breakfast. It's not because I'm in love with the religion of being well, right? That's not at all the point I want to make sure that that's really clear. And I think that's important for all of us to understand. It's not about the process it's not about the religion of eating well. That's not what I'm trying to accomplish. That's not what we're trying to accomplish, right? It's about shining our light as bright as possible into the world. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to be the best us that we can be. And the best us that we can be doesn't, hamburgers and french fries is not the thing that we're doing anymore. We're not, that's the pizzas, and the pepperoni pizza is not the thing anymore for me to get me to the place. The milkshake, the little kid sitting next to me went and got an Oreo Blizzard looking milkshake thing and he was sitting there and eating it. And I was thinking, that's not the thing for me anymore. And it's not because I'm in love with the religion of food. We get into arguments over that amongst ourselves, where as people, we get into arguments back and forth with each other over the religion of food. It's not about the religion of food. It's not about the religion of exercise. It has nothing to do with either one of those things. It's about trying to be the best person that you can be. And does the pizza actually fit into that situation or not? For me, at 53 years old now, it doesn't. I don't have any. Matter of fact, Saturday? Not this coming Saturday, but next Saturday will be 2 years, right? I've just gone to the point where I just don't need that anymore. And as good increases, this is Ecclesiastes 5:11, as good increases, so do those who consume them. And what benefit are they to the owner except to feast his eyes on them? Right? And if the love is about the stuff, what the scripture is trying to say is that you'll never get enough. It'll never get you to where you want to be. The sleep of a laborer is sweet, whether he eats little or much, but the abundance of a rich man permits him no sleep. The abundance of it, because the love is based in it. I see that all the time with health and wellness. I see that all the time with people who are in the health and wellness industry, or who are trying to do things healthy, and the end result is for them to do things healthy. I think they're missing the boat. I don't think doing healthy things has anything to do with the end result is being healthy. I think doing healthy things is something to do with us trying to be the best that we can be. That's where I don't know if I'm verbalizing that well enough, or making that clear enough. But I see it all the time. It's not, you don't go, I see guys that go work out to be great at working out. Like, I don't get it. Like, what? At the end of the day, you're great at working out. Like, so what? How does that help anybody? Like, how does that fix anything? How does that solve any problems? How does that make the world a better thing if you are just like the most awesome workout person that's ever lived? Right? What are you doing with that talent that you have, that discipline that you have, that desire that you have? What is it that you're doing to make the world a better place? Right? That same thing with me eating. It's not about. It's not that I'm like it's not. I don't want to. I'm not going to eat the pizza just because it's just the pizza and donuts, cheesecake. It's not about trying to win that. What it's about is trying to be the best me that I can be. Right? That's 3 times I've said that same exact thing. And so contentment doesn't come through addition. It comes through subtraction. Now, I don't know that all of that was just a sentence that the pastor said yesterday. I don't know if everything I think of, I don't know if that holds up across the board. Contentment is, to me, is not necessarily about addition or subtraction. Contentment is about purpose. If I am on purpose, then, and I'm living my life on purpose, I think that's where you get it. I heard a girl told me today about burnout, and we were talking about burnout today. And she said, "Yeah, a busy person, if they're just too busy for too long, they'll just get burned out. You got to be careful that you don't want to get burned out, right? I don't buy burnout. I buy burnout to people that aren't living through the Spirit, and I buy burnout with people who aren't on purpose. And if you're living a life that's not on purpose and through the Spirit, I can see very well how you get burned out, because you're spending a lot of your time off the mark. You're spending a lot of your time not being led in that direction. And so I can see where it becomes very frustrating. And sometimes as a younger person, it's harder to know that. And so it takes some repetition before you start to understand really what it is that you're up to. So I think that takes a little bit of time. At least it did in my experience. I see some young people that seem to have it all together, but they must be, if they actually do have it all together, they must be way more advanced than I am, which is not saying much. But I think that having some years and saying, "Hey, look, yeah, this is what I am. This is what I do. This is how I operate. This is what I'm going to do, and I'm going to do it because I really have defined who I am and what I want to be there." So then he moved down to 1 Timothy 6:17, and he was talking about putting our hope in wealth. So it's 1 Timothy 6:17. Command those who are rich in this present world not to be arrogant, nor to put their hope in wealth, which is so uncertain, but to put their hope in God, who richly provides us with everything for our enjoyment. What I see that from a health and wellness standpoint is, command those who are rich in this present world not to be arrogant or put their hope in wealth. Command those who are fit not to be arrogant and put their hope in fitness. That's not it. It's not it. I have a chiropractor friend, not a friend, a chiropractor that I actually got to go visit, have dinner with one night. And he actually got to the point where he was seeing 1,000 patients a week. And that's a lot, by the way, in a chiropractic office. Seeing 1,000 patients in 1 week. And he's an on-purpose, on-focused, super fit, great guy, like all those things, right? And he said that when he got to 1,000 visits in that week, there was not a parade. There wasn't any confetti that went off. There wasn't anything that was special about it. He still had to come to work the next day. There wasn't anything at all that was really any big deal. It was just simply a mark that he hit. But when he strived so hard to get to the mark, that when he got to the mark, it was empty on the other side of the mark, right? And that's what I see here. It's not, don't be arrogant, nor put your hope in the wealth of the target, but in the reason that you strived for the target. That's where I think the contentment and the happiness comes in. It's the same thing. I didn't go to the gym on Saturday morning and get on the treadmill for 40 minutes. And I had Texas Stadium on my left where the Cowboys play. And I could see the old ballpark on my right, and the new ballpark was behind me. And I was some sort of big, massive convention center right in front of me. And it was quite the view on the treadmill that I was on. And I didn't go there for the end result to be just me being on the treadmill. I went there for the end result for me to drive through my purpose, right? Command those who are rich in the present world not to be arrogant nor put their hope in wealth, which is so uncertain. It was uncertain when he hit the 1,000 visits that week. There wasn't anything there. There was when you become the best workout person in your gym, whoopee-doo, right? If I become the best chiropractor in my town, if I adjusted 1,000 people this week in my office, there would be 299,000 people that didn't get adjusted in my office in my town. And that's just in my county. If I adjusted 1,000 of them, right? It's like, that's not the point. There's no, how am I going to draw any contentment out of that? Right? But what did I do the best that I could do today? That's what I think. That's the message that we're trying to see about the next possession. And I love the sentence "next possession," because in football, you just play the next play. Sometimes you throw interceptions in life, and in football, it's like, look, dude, just go tackle the guy, and then just play the next possession. Sometimes you don't make a first down, just punt. Play defense, and we'll just play the next possession. See if we can get it right on the next one, right? Get it right by doing the fundamental things that help you get it right. And in health, that's really what we're trying to do too. We're trying to get it right by doing the fundamental things that help us get to where we're trying to go. And what is right? That's a big question. That's very hard to answer some of those deep questions like that. We were talking about that this morning in the office about, I was talking to the young kids that are working in the office, and it's like, what do you think about being around here? And they're like, man, it's so different. It's so different than what I was raised with. It was so different than what the conversations are in my family with my cousins and all the different things. It is kind of different right there. And then there's several other scriptures. So went from 1 Timothy, and now we're going to Luke 12. And it starts at 14, and it's Jesus talking. So in 13, it says, someone in the crowd, this is Luke 12:13. Someone in the crowd said to him, "Teacher, tell my brother to divide the inheritance with me." And Jesus replied, "Man, who appointed me a judge or arbitrator between you?" That's pretty humbling right there, really, if you think about it. If you think about Jesus telling you that, I mean, Jesus said, "Hey, who made me the arbitrator between you two?" Then he said to them, "Watch out. Be on your guard against all kinds of greed. A man's life does not consist in the abundance of his possessions." Right? My life does not consist in the abundance of my possessions. My life doesn't exist in the abundance of my workouts. It's not about the abundance of my food. It's not about that. That's not the point. That's not health. That's not going to get us where we want to go right there. And so let me make sure And then he told them this parable. He said, "The ground of a certain rich man produced a good crop. He thought to himself, 'What shall I do? I have no place to store my crop.' Then he said, 'This is what I'll do. I'll tear down my barns and build bigger ones. And there I will store all my grain and my goods. And I'll say to myself, you have plenty of good things laid up for many years. Take life easy. Eat, drink, and be merry.' But God said to him, 'You fool, this very night your life will be demanded from you. Then who will get what you have prepared for yourself? This is how it will be with anyone who stores up things for himself, but is not rich toward God.'" And that right there to me is a really big deal. I think this scripture about about the possessions of things, the things that we own, right? The things that we're searching for in life. I think that's a huge scripture right there, because when we die, we can't take any of it with us. When I die, I can't take this body with me, whether this body weighs 283 pounds or 238 pounds or 208 pounds or 190 pounds. It doesn't make any difference what this body weighs when I die. It's not coming with me where I'm going, right? It doesn't make any difference how big this office is, or how fancy the equipment is, or what we're doing. It makes no difference. When it's gone, it's gone. It's never coming back, right? What makes a difference is driving through my purpose. And it makes a difference for me. And it makes a difference for me that you drive through your purpose. It really is a selfish thing. It's a selfish thing. And I think selfish is not that bad, really. It's a selfish thing to think that if I could be as good as I could be, and I helped you be as good as you could be, it would make my life better. Like that's something that is it's an interesting thought if you think about it. If you think about being selfish, I want you to be as awesome as you could be because it makes my life better. There's probably a place in the scripture that talks about that, but if you just took the same scripture, this is how it will be with anyone who stores up things for himself, but is not rich towards their purpose. If you just take God, which we know God will give you your purpose, God gave you your purpose. If you just take God and let God speak to you your purpose, right? And you just define what you're up to. This is how it will be with anyone who stores up things for himself, but not rich towards. It's not going to help us in the end if we're the fittest guy in the gym. It's not going to help us if we're the most clean eater. It's not going to help us one bit if by the end, when we get to the end of the road, if we did this whole thing for ourselves. And I didn't get. Let me look these up right quick, because there were two more. It was Acts 20:35. Let me get to it right quick. But and we've all heard this one before. It's on Acts 20:35, and let me just find it right quick, because we've heard it so many times. It's better to give than to receive, is what it's going to say. In everything I did, I showed you that by this kind of hard work, we must help the weak, remembering the words of the Lord Jesus himself said, "It is more blessed to give than to receive." Right? What I'm doing and what I'm trying to do, what I get from this, it's better to give than to receive. And giving of myself means getting myself to be as healthy as it can be. That's the best thing I can do, is to give myself to the group, to the world, to the people, to the society, to give my lending hand to the person who needs my lending hand. And I think every one of us, if we did that, we would start to hone in on our purpose, and we would start to understand why I can't do that and be sick. When I'm sick, it takes away my ability to do that. And if I'm doing things that are literally making me sick, then I'm going to end up that way. And when it's all said and done, that's exactly what's going to happen to me. Is I'm going to be there, and I'm going to be sick. Like if I get sick, I lose my ability to give, and that's kind of what being well is all about. That's where the alcohol and the sugar has got to go. Right? It doesn't have any place for me any longer. So that's the end of the show. It's a little disjointed there, but I hope you got the message. I hope you guys have a great night. We'll be back. I won't be back live tomorrow night, but we'll either have a show or we'll have a rerun show tomorrow night. And I'll be speaking at Wise. If you guys are in Lubbock and you want to come listen, come on over. Otherwise, we'll see you guys on Wednesday night at 6. Have a great evening.